Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created by a user named Devastated Husband. It was posted in the AITAH subreddit and is titled, I am sure my wife just cheated on me. I, M40, think that last night my wife, AFE43, cheated on me. We have been married for 10 years, together for 13. She went out to buy some stuff for the home, which is weird. She hates doing that, and she went with a male friend I don't know. She stayed out for several hours. It was strange because she spent the day getting ready as if it were a date. When she was gone, I grew suspicious and checked around the room. She had put on her sexy underwear meant just for our bedroom. I do all the childcare, so I put the kids to bed. She showed up afterward and refused to tell me most of the details about the man she was with. She told me that in order to stay in our marriage, she needed some time that was just for her. She only told me his first name, and when I thought back, I had seen that name pop up in her texts for the last several months. I didn't think anything of it at the time because it's the name of a work friend she has, and they often need to reach out to one another after hours for big projects. I think that she has been slowly building up the courage to cheat on me, and over the last 2 months, our life has collapsed to zero, and she has grown extremely hostile without any reason given, seemingly out of nowhere. Last week, she told me she doesn't want to be married and it has nothing to do with me. An outrageous assertion. Before everyone says I don't do enough as a husband, I do 100% of the childcare, shopping, and housework, and I work from home, though she is the primary breadwinner. I'm emotionally available and mature, and I don't have a temper. I stay relatively fit and am attractive enough. I am not controlling, I don't object at all to her having male friends, but this screams affair. I am utterly shattered, and I feel like I am dying. I don't even know how to talk to her about it. She has been so angry lately that communicating with her is a nightmare. This is a throwaway account. I am too ashamed to post it to my main. I want to divorce her, but that would break apart my children's home. If I file for divorce, would that make me a jerk? Update. My wife and I talked. She admitted that she had been talking to this guy for a while and had intended to have a encounter, but found him to be so lacking she decided not to. Apparently, he had emotions and wanted a relationship, so she talked with him, bought some of his art, and left. She is still going to hang out with him, but she isn't interested in him anymore, apparently. I asked if she wanted an open relationship. She said yes. I asked if we would ever have sex again. She said probably not. She said she just doesn't want to be in a relationship with anyone or have sex with anyone anymore, but if she does decide to, she doesn't want to feel caged, especially after her most recent disappointment, but she wants to keep our family together. So I have a permanent hall pass and I don't ever have to explain where I was or who I was with. She said that is only fair, and I agreed, and she wants the same. I can't force her to stay married or monogamous, and I don't want a divorce. So we are roommates now with a legally binding lifetime contract and joint finances. And apparently I am now in an open relationship. A very sad day for me, but maybe not the worst outcome. I assume a lot of people will say she was lying, but it sounded honest, and for the first time in months, she wasn't mad at me. She was being direct, and whether she cheated or not wouldn't change anything because she had intended to and had emotionally cheated, so that trust is gone either way. So I was right, sort of, and now my marriage is over, sort of, and that's just how life goes, I guess. I will need some time to process this. Feel free to comment if you like. It has been a rough 3 days. Update 2. So I have decided to treat this post kind of like a journal. You guys have been so helpful and kind, mostly, and it has helped me keep a level head during this process. Thank you all for that. My wife came to me crying. She said she doesn't know why she tried to destroy our life together. She says she loves me so much and I am the perfect husband and she has the perfect life and she just couldn't handle it and tried to destroy it. She has agreed to counseling. She apparently doesn't want to lose me. She says she doesn't want anyone else and she wants to do what she needs to for me to forgive her. She says we can keep the marriage open if I want. I said okay. She asked if I needed to see other people and I said I don't know. She said she understood and started crying again. Later, she tried to initiate sex and I stopped her. She had on her sexy undies. Seeing them again made me feel sick. She wore them for another man not even a week ago, trying to destroy our marriage. I feel like all my walls are 100% up right now. My kids noticed her behavior towards me that changed this morning when I was getting them ready for school. She was very affectionate and saying nice things to me. My kids were so happy on the way to school. My daughter said, "I am so glad that mom is being herself again. Isn't that great?" I said, "Yeah, I am so tired." Update 3. My wife went out again on Friday. This time, she seemed really pensive, not excited at all. She stayed out a little longer, but came home at a reasonable hour. If I did not know what she had been up to previously, I would not have been suspicious. I assume she broke up with her boyfriend. Saturday morning, she canceled all her future dates of all kinds. Everything social was off her calendar, and she replaced them with family activities with me and the kids. She still wouldn't tell me who this man was or discuss him at all. I decided to leave it alone for a while to gather my thoughts. We went on a family trip yesterday. It was fun. Today, we are all going to do family games and hang out. My wife's behavior has changed very dramatically, and she is playing the caring wife, saying nice things to me, and sending me positive messages when I am in a different room, touching my arm, all of the things. A fairly dramatic shift from the extreme hostility she has been showing me for months. But I have been badly burned, so I couldn't trust it. I decided that I was calm enough to figure out who this guy was. So I went looking, and with the help of a dear friend, we figured it out. See, she had purchased something from him, and that was enough information to figure out who he was, how they met, and how this all began. Now, I am going to be vague, as this would maybe be identifying, and I don't need that in my life, especially if I plan on divorcing. But he followed her on a social media service, and she didn't follow him back. He never once posted publicly on her social media, and she never liked or commented on any of his stuff. My wife's social media contains pictures of me and our children, almost exclusively of our children, a couple pictures of me, and only a handful of pictures of my wife. For complicated reasons, her social media has a larger following than most personal social media accounts, which made finding him a real pain. This piece of shit saw my kids and me and my wife and thought, I bet those kids would love 2 Christmases. That's the guy my wife cheated on me with. He is older than me by more than a decade, but very fit and very tall, like a joke. The worst part, she had not blocked him. So it isn't over, it is just on the back burner. I have decided not to mention it. I don't want her to hide it better. I want to know what's going on as I collect evidence for filing for divorce. I don't need evidence, but for my own peace of mind and so that I can grieve, I will finish constructing the puzzle that is my wife's infidelity. I will also focus on self-care and stay away from vices. I could definitely see myself getting drunk and high every night in response to this. So I should not do that. I can't file just yet for complicated financial reasons, but I will be keeping my appointment with the divorce lawyer to explore my options. Until then, we will see. I have zero trust in my wife. I never thought I would find myself in this position. I don't know what I will do afterward. I haven't dated in almost 15 years. How does it even work now? Thank you to all the members of the community who have reached out to me, even the mean ones. All of you have taken the time to engage with me when I could not be anything but self-centered in my own grief, and I appreciate you. I will continue updating as I go. Update 4. I decided to take a few days and headed to my parents' house. My wife watched the children while I went over and spoke with my folks. After hearing about the situation, my sister joined us. My parents are hugely supportive of whatever I choose, though my mom thinks I should get a divorce and has several good divorce lawyers already picked out. She really could not hide her excitement that I might be divorcing my wife. And my father thinks we should work it out and offered to pay for any and all mental health services we need for me, the wife, and the kids. My parents have been married for a very long time, and I always wanted a long, stable marriage like they had. My mother commented that I always did like complicated relationships with difficult women and that your wife has been torturing you for months. Everyone has been so worried about you, which feels about right. They needed a ton of landscaping done, so my sister and I spent the whole time doing landscaping and talking. The weather was finally nice, and I had 2 days of clearing my head and being around people that love me and getting exercise. By the time I got home, I had completely forgotten my horrible situation. My wife even greeted me when I got home and seemed very excited to see me. I was happy to believe for a moment that this was my life. Gleeful kids and a happy wife greeting me at the door. It felt really good. I smelled terrible and was covered in dirt. I did not shower while I was over there. They only have 1 bar of Dove soap that they share. which was how it was when I was a kid, and honestly, I would just rather stay dirty. So I went to get changed in my room, the guest bedroom where I now live, instead of in a room with my wife. And let me tell you, it all came flooding back. Just a deep ache and a sadness that the person upstairs was completely different a week and a half ago, and could just as easily flip right back. We are currently in a holding pattern where my wife just looks at me wondering what I will do and tries to be on her best behavior, which she is already looking exhausted by, and I try to stabilize my emotional state well enough to make it through each day without incident. Either way, I have been getting a lot of attention online and in real life from potential suitors. There are a surprising number of women of all age groups who seem to really enjoy what I'm about and how I look. I really did not know that there was this much interest. I am going to start scheduling dates in the next few weeks. I don't know if it is a good idea or not. I don't know if there is anything out there worth finding, but I do know that sitting around my house being sad all the time is no kind of life. And my mom offered to watch my children while I went out on dates. Though she doesn't approve of it, if it brings me closer to getting rid of my wife, she will help me do it. That woman is such a trip. Again, thank you everyone for your support and encouragement. My updates will likely be less frequent going forward unless something exciting happens. Real life is rarely this complicated and interesting in real time. Thank goodness for that. Update 5. Well, it has been a few more weeks, and I said I would use this as a journal of sorts, and so I shall. Last weekend, I went out dancing. My wife watched the kids, and I went out and had an amazing time. I went out by myself and just met and danced with whomever came along. I was out till 2 a.m., and when I got home, my wife was waiting up for me. She pretended that she had insomnia, but I could tell she wanted to see when I would get home, or if I would come home at all. The more I do things only for myself and my own enjoyment, the more she seems to want to be in the marriage. I gave up so much to make the family stable, raise the kids, and keep the home, but I never talked about that or made a big deal out of it. Now that I am going out and doing irresponsible and impulsive things, now she likes me again. This is genuinely confusing to me. My wife and I have been working on our communication a lot, spending most of our downtime hanging out with each other and trying to figure out how to talk to one another and understand one another better. I am already in therapy, and that is helping. My wife has expressed an urgent need for her to attend therapy, but is worried that her current therapist might not be able to help her. I think her current therapist is one of the best in the state, and one of the only ones that my wife respects, so she needs to give her another go. This hesitance on her part is a small problem now, but might end up being a major problem in the future. I have insisted on us disentangling our finances, so she and I will have our own accounts, which will each receive equal money each month, and then a joint account for bills, plus an additional account for vacation plans. Building up a separate account will free me from years of financial abuse in the form of her insisting on bankrolling her impulsive purchases from the accounts where I am attempting to build up savings. I will begin saving a safety net if I decide to pull the trigger on divorce. All the paperwork is set up, I just need to decide to move forward or not. The relationship is continuing to go well, apart from a couple of minor incidents. My wife has been largely positive. She expresses love for me fairly regularly, and even the pitch of her voice is higher and more feminine around me than it had been for the last year. A subtle sign that she is finding me more attractive, which feels nice but doesn't impact me the way it used to. She also seems much happier in general, and she hasn't disrespected me once or been unkind or hurtful since she did her turnaround. She clearly was actively sabotaging the marriage, as without her antagonism, the house seemed to run great. It could have always been a happy home, but she decided she wanted it to be a nightmare. Having this post has helped to remind me of the terrible pain of trusting my wife. I don't like making the same mistakes twice. I am pretty obviously not healed, and some of my sadness has turned to resentment, which is not healthy, but I am still struggling to be just okay, which is harder than it sounds. So that's it for this update. Thank you again, everyone, for the kind words and support. I will likely be going out dancing every weekend for the near future. I am trying to set up plans for a vacation. My wife wants to do our honeymoon this summer, which we never got to take. We were too poor and too busy being parents to our 2 young kids at the time when we first got married, so we never went on our honeymoon. I believe that she is hoping to rekindle something. We shall see. I haven't done any official dates yet, but I have had some women I have met in my day-to-day activities outside the house flirt pretty aggressively with me. Also, I had a married couple around my age try to pick me up when I was out dancing. I entertained it, but my life is already more complicated than I would like, and that seemed like a big bite to take so soon into my little adventure. So I ended up turning them down, but not definitively. We shall see. I have spent the time since initially posting lifting weights pretty aggressively and have lost about 10 pounds of fat and gained some muscle, so I am pretty summer ready. I'm going to continue working on myself and doing what I need to in order to meet my own needs. I will update again when I have something to say. Until then, be kind to yourself. Update 6. Father's Day was a nightmare. My wife had a huge emotional outburst right away in the morning and had been getting pretty angry and reclusive leading up to Father's Day, which is nothing new. It turns out that her mother had called her first thing in the morning to remind her that her father abandoned them and that she should celebrate her on Father's Day. My wife's response was to have a breakdown and take it out on me in front of the children and then retreat back to her room. She eventually apologized, but whatever, it wasn't the worst Father's Day ever. Even though I had neither presents, cards, events, or kind words from my wife, my kids gave me lots of hugs and told me they valued me, so that was lovely. Our marriage has been slowly improving and our discussions have become more frequent and open, though we still have not directly revisited the affair. A couple of days before Father's Day, my wife shared with me her intention to take advantage of our open relationship status at some later date. She told me that she was just not a monogamist like you are. I told her that I wasn't interested in that kind of marriage, and she said, "Well, I guess that makes me a slut. Are you gonna stay married to a slut?" To which I replied, "I guess for now." Then she hit me with a real big piece of information. "Well, I thought you weren't monogamous too, for a while." So apparently she thought I had cheated on her, and because our communication is so poor, she decided to make our relationship open as a response. And then went out with this other dude. She just didn't inform me until after she had completely mentally and physically left the relationship. After I initially confronted her about the affair, she realized that I had never been unfaithful, and that's why she had such a huge turnaround. She was having a revenge affair against me, but I had never been unfaithful. She still won't specify what made her think I had an affair. I assume it was when I was spending a ton of time doing volunteer work. There is a lot to explore there, but after that, the conversation broke down and she retreated to her room. I don't actually think she is interested in an open marriage. I honestly believe she just had an affair and is still doing this open marriage to justify her behavior to herself. She would absolutely have another affair to prove that this is what she wants rather than admit that she had an initial affair out of a misplaced malice and insecurity. I have been going out on weekends, dancing mostly, and meeting fun people, and she stays up to see when I get home, and is deeply jealous the day before and after. No dates exactly, just meeting people and having fun dancing and talking. Nothing in her behavior says that she would do anything other than collapse completely if I was involved with another person. Clearly, she needs to go to individual therapy. I am already seeing an individual therapist, but so far our sessions have been mostly me just explaining what has been going on since the subject matter is so dense. I don't know if there is a path forward here. I know she has gone back to referring to me as her husband, and there is some physical touch reappearing in our relationship, though I am the hesitant one this time. Also, she has clearly done the initial STD and 6-week follow-up doctor's visits. She said she needed a doctor's visit for shots 1 week after the obvious affair and then went for more shots 6 weeks later, which is the timeline for a follow-up, claiming a need for different vaccines. Pretty unbelievable coincidence, and I am not stupid enough to believe it. It also shows that she is maintaining a willingness or need to lie to me. I am still getting my ducks in a row and planning for a divorce, but honestly, it is difficult. In order to not tip my hand, I need to keep my guard up, but if I keep my guard up, I can't heal the marriage. So here I am, planning for a divorce is the most likely way to make it happen, so that's probably the road I am on. Sorry if this update isn't super focused. I am more using it as a journal, so it might be progressively less focused as time goes on. Thanks to everyone who keeps sharing their insights and support. This has been and continues to be a weird journey, but my anger has largely subsided and I am starting to feel more myself. And I think a large part of that has been me being able to share this as I go. Update 7, things are finally improving. The man she had an affair with tried to reach out publicly on her social media. He was upset that she had been ignoring his messages. She did not block him, just ghosted him, and made their affair public. I had finally had enough. Being publicly embarrassed was just too much for me, as if the shame and indignity of the affair was not enough. I realized the irony of that given this post, but I have worked to keep myself anonymous in telling my story. I told my wife to leave for a week. I didn't care where she went, but she wasn't welcome in the house until last night. I told her that she didn't appreciate me, the work I did, the family I built around her, or our lives together, and and I wanted her to experience a week without it. I wanted her to feel what the divorce would be like. Honestly, I had one of the best weeks I have had all year. I played with my kids without having to deal with her bullshit. I hung out with friends and family without her being there to sabotage anything. My stress was way lower. I was just happier. I could not be any lonelier than I already was, so that remained largely unchanged. I didn't have to coordinate with her while she constantly changed her mind. It was really great. The kids were happier too. They had nightly good nights with their mom. I would never stop them from talking to their mother, they need two parents, over the phone, but otherwise their stress level seemed way lower. She stayed in a hotel and worked during the days. She picked up extra shifts for the weekend just to not have free time at the hotel. When she got home yesterday, she was extremely huggy, a deeply unusual behavior for her, and this morning she even made me coffee and brought it to me. She gave me several hugs and kisses and told me what an amazing husband and father I am and how much she needs me in her life and misses me. She is so apologetic and will start her therapy now. I know this process is likely to take a long time and have ups and downs throughout, but this is the first time I have any hope for any future together. As an aside, I am hitting the gym a lot, so my physical health is really improving, and the therapy is helping me to figure out what I want and to stand up for myself more effectively. I deserve to be in a relationship where I feel loved and valued, and if this relationship is not loving, then I need to give myself permission to leave. Not just for the kids, but for me. Having individual needs is okay. That is something I need to work on. Update 8. I have had a couple of requests for an update, so here it goes. The wife and I are slowly increasing our communication. I have been going out more on my own and exercising a ton. Honestly, I haven't looked this good in a decade. When I go out, I have been getting a lot of female attention, which feels nice. I have never had people ask me for my Instagram before, but that's apparently how young women tell you that they are interested. Things are stabilized, but the marriage is either dead or on life support, and with neither of us pushing to keep it alive, it looks like it will just kind of fizzle out. It is a pretty good practical arrangement for both of us right now. I care for the children, keep the house clean and cook, and manage everything on the home front, and she works and gets a lot of downtime to pursue her hobbies. We both feel like we are getting what we need. There is no longer a significant physical relationship, but that's okay. I don't really want to be with her anymore, so I don't feel neglected. Getting divorced would also severely compromise our finances right when we are getting on our feet. Staying only works in my favor since the home is no longer a source of stress, and I am free to pursue other relationships. Also, the longer I put off the divorce, the better it will be for me financially when I do file. So from a practical position, I have no reason to divorce right now. So for now, I am staying. I don't really care that she cheated on me anymore, or at least I have stopped reacting to it. I learned the lesson that she is not the person I imagined her to be. I still love my wife, but that betrayal hurt too much. I no longer want to do any of the husbandly things with her. She is more like a friend I live with. In the meantime, I have made a lot of new friends with my open marriage status, and I will be exploring things with them going forward. It turns out that telling women that you are married but available is the opposite of a deal breaker. My wife seems to not be pursuing anything outside of the marriage with anyone else, but I am not keeping track. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. Also, the number of women out there looking to cheat on their husbands is shocking. Don't worry, I would never be a party to that hurt, but holy shit is it scandalous. I had no idea, and it's all the same. Their stories could just be my wife telling them. They are bored, their life is stable, they want a spark. Go talk to your husbands and work through it. Don't go some guy in a nightclub, just unmitigated selfishness. My trust in women has collapsed during this experience. So that's the update. My mental health is pretty good. I have weekly mental health appointments. I am physically doing very well, and I feel peace starting to come back into my life again. My kids seem happy, and we have been spending all summer playing sports together and video games and going to fun places and gardening. They love that their parents are getting along and that their mother isn't angry all the time and their father doesn't look like he is about to die from stress. My wife is happy in her work and with her hobbies, and our interactions are mostly positive. Our communication has gone from non-existent to acceptable, which is a huge step up. I don't have hope that my marriage can ultimately be saved, but right now it is a shelter for me where I can rest and gather my thoughts, build my life how I like it. Sorry, I know there are a lot of people rooting for me, but honestly, I am doing pretty well. I will keep you guys updated on any big changes. Until then, I wish you all the happiness that you can stand. User Tall Old BTM said, she already told you she does not want to be married and with this evidence, you would not be the jerk for wanting a divorce. Sounds like the marriage was headed this way before the apparent cheating. User Robin Noodle said, if you do divorce, child custody, and how you're going to support yourself should be your biggest two concerns. If she has always been the breadwinner, you may be able to get alimony. Sounds like an affair to me, at least an emotional one. It is possible she hasn't slept with this man. I wonder why and how you all got here. Sorry for you and stay strong. User CyberVTM said, get evidence first. That's the most important thing from what I have read from these horrible stories of affairs. For your own sanity, get screenshots and anything else you can find. If you file for divorce, you are going to need that proof in court. User Humble Evening 7668 said, even if she didn't cheat, you all sound miserable and are doing the kids a disservice by staying together. Sorry you're going through that. I think it's healthier for ourselves and children to watch us fight for our right to happiness, so they don't repeat the pattern when they're grown and have more agency to go for what they want. You're teaching them to settle. Then they will enjoy you all more and vice versa when you're in a more grounded place, not dealing with her resentment day in and day out. Rebuilding your kingdom is 100% worth it. I had to do it a year ago for the same exact reason. The kids are happier too. User Bizarro said, this is key. Collect bills, hospital transcripts, school report cards, anything that is a piece of paper that ties you to the children as the primary caregiver. You need things on it to heavily imply or explicitly indicate that you are doing the child care. It is so hard for a father to be acknowledged as the primary caregiver without a mountain of evidence that goes back at the absolute least 6 months. Most of the Western world simply defaults to the mother being the primary caregiver, and you would need a notarized piece of paper from her that says you are in charge of the kids. Seriously, get everything you can. Receipts for school supplies, notes from your daily planner that show appointments for the kids in your handwriting. All of it. Screenshots of texts from your wife that outline a typical work week for her to show how often she's out. You need to paint a mental picture of a caregiving father that a 3-year-old would examine and say, oh yeah, that guy does it all for his kids. User Prism Realm Hog said, you know what really breaks the kids? Dysfunctional parents staying together. I'm not calling you dysfunctional, but staying in this can result in a proper mess characterized by resentment, tension, anger, and everything in between. And kids pick that up quite easily and they won't forget. Every single day, this situation will linger in the backs of your heads and any slightly abrasive moment will erupt into screaming and hours of arguments day after day among your kids. We're not fighting, we are arguing. Proceeds to scream at each other for 3 more hours while dad is breaking stuff. Very cool adulting or something is a phrase I heard way too often from my parents. They thankfully divorced when I was 7 and frankly, I'm glad they did. I was already blessed with PTSD and later BPD caused by my dad. Staying in that environment for the sake of me. Separate. Get your ducks in a row like people say. Gather evidence and that whole shebang, then file for divorce. Something tells me that your wife won't come clean, do a 180, and actively work on herself for betterment. That takes a lot of effort, and seeing a glimpse of her modus operandi regarding addressing issues among you two. No, you are not the jerk. You filing for divorce is a natural step and a consequence of a situation like this. Doing nothing and staying together, and your kids might see you both as assholes in a decade. Entertain the idea of you staying together, a decade goes by, and your kids move out. Now what? User Excellent Case 2050 said, confront her with how you are feeling. That is not unreasonable for you to express how you feel. Trust your gut always. It sounds like your marriage is already over. She just hasn't told you yet. Divorce her and move on. Life is too short to bend over backwards to try to make something work when the other half is already attempting to move on. It's better for your kids to not live in an unhappy home. They can pick up on your failing relationship just as much as you can. Sorry for you. I too went through something similar and wish someone had told me to just move on. I knew it deep down already and didn't accept it until it was too late. Again, life is short, especially at our age. Don't waste time. Projecting off of my situation, if this is not sound advice, then I wish you luck. Another user said, been in this same situation. After I got the comment that she didn't want to be married any longer, my first response was that I wanted no less than 50% custody of our children. I had evidence of her cheating as well. It worked out for both of us. We both moved on, and now I'm happily married to my beautiful wife after 20 years of being a part-time single dad.